Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the last Kini News episode of the decade. In a couple of hours, Malaysians will be ringing in a new year. But before we enter into this new year and a new decade, let's see how Pakatan Harapan ministers have fared. The Pakatan Harapan cabinet has been in the job for almost 19 months. Recently, Malaysiakini conducted a poll asking readers to rate all the 28 Pakatan Harapan cabinet ministers. Readers gave either a thumbs up or a thumbs down for each minister based on their performance. A total of 5,197 valid votes were counted for this survey, which was conducted from December 19th to December 26th. This is how Malaysiakini's readers rated all 28 of them. After Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng publicly voiced dissatisfaction towards the police treatment of the Chinese organization's conference on Jawi and the Malay Dignity Congress yesterday, MCA President Wee Ka Siong has offered to provide Lim with Home Minister Muhyiddin Yassin's phone number. MCA President Wee Ka Siong has offered to provide Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng with Home Minister Muhyiddin Yassin's phone number. This was after Lim voiced dissatisfaction against the police treatment of the Chinese organization's conference on Jawi and the Malay Dignity Congress. In a light-hearted tone on Facebook yesterday night, Wee said, quote, "Lim, don't you have Home Minister Muhyiddin's phone number? If you need it, I can give it to you." Yesterday, Lim said that the DAP is unhappy that police had barred last Saturday's Chinese organization's conference when the Malay Dignity Congress held 2 months earlier was allowed to proceed. Lim said that there was no reason to prohibit the conference and that the matter would be discussed at the next cabinet meeting. Several ministers have voiced their opinion on the proposal to review the salaries and allowances of politicians and ministers following outcry over plans to cut an incentive allowance for new public servants in critical sectors. For Federal Territories Minister Khalid Abdul Samad, the existing salary is okay. Federal Territories Minister Khalid Abdul Samad said that ministers' existing salaries are already at an okay level in response to proposals that their allowances be slashed.
Rasa dah okey kot. Ya. Lepas tu kita punya gaji ni, pasal kita orang ni dulu ahli pemagang, kita punya gaji kita masuk je terus 30% masuk parti tu. Semua saya tak tahulah yang parti lain, tapi amanah mungkin saya rasa parti lain pun semua macam tu juga. So gaji kita pun dah 30% goes to the party, which is fair lah, pasal parti berusaha untuk memenangkan kita dan
Khalid said that a minister also does not get to enjoy all the perks of an MP and that the previous ministers during Barisan Nasional's time got more. He added that Pakatan Harapan ministers took a 10% pay cut after the coalition formed the government.
Gaji dan allowance menteri telah dipotong on day one. Bila kita ambil alih kerajaan, kita telah potong gaji menteri, kita telah potong allowance menteri.
UMNO Supreme Council member Lokman Nur Adam has called for a party election to be held so that members can choose whether they want to cooperate with Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad or to oppose him. UMNO Supreme Council member Lokman Adam has claimed that certain parties are negotiating with UMNO's enemies for UMNO and Bersatu to join forces. In a statement yesterday night, he said, quote, "Rather than holding an extraordinary general meeting for members to decide the way forward, I urge for an UMNO election to be held before the merger, which is expected to happen in May of 2020. Previously, Sembrong MP Hishamuddin Hussein was accused of plotting for UMNO elected representatives to join Bersatu. The speculation intensified after 21 BN parliamentarians, including Hishamuddin, held a meeting on the 18th of November with Economic Affairs Minister Muhammad Azmin Ali. Hishamuddin, however, dismissed the allegations. Lokman had claimed the purpose of the meeting was to rally UMNO MPs to support Azmin, and he revealed that he was the one who had filed a complaint against Hishamuddin on the 30th of October to urge the party to act. He also claimed that Hishamuddin's negotiations had received the approval of certain members of the UMNO leadership who are currently being trialled in court. And now let's look at some international headlines. Thousands of tourists and residents in Australia had to seek shelter as they were being ringed in by the currently raging bushfires. Thousands of people swarmed to beaches on Australia's east coast on Tuesday to escape wildfires bearing down on several seaside towns. Government officials called for Australian military support and assistance from US and Canadian fire crews as authorities confirmed 2 people had died overnight. The massive bushfires have destroyed more than 10 million acres, with new blazes sparking into life almost every day by extremely hot and windy conditions in a bushland left tinder dry after a 3-year drought. At Malakuta, an Australian seaside town, with the main road in and out of town cut off, thousands of residents and tourists sought refuge in boats, public buildings and waded into water at the seafront as they waited for help. Some of those trapped in the town posted images of blood-red, smoke-filled skies on social media. One beachfront photograph showed people lying shoulder to shoulder on the sand, some wearing gas masks. While Australia battles the bushfires that have razed more than 9.9 million acres across 5 states in the country, volunteers are trying their best to save wild animals caught in the inferno. Authorities have no exact figure on how many native animals in total have been killed, but experts say it is likely to be in the millions. Volunteers in Australia are trying to save wild animals caught in the wildfires that have razed more than 10 million acres across 5 states in the country. Australia's bushland is home to a range of indigenous fauna, including kangaroos, koalas, wallabies, possums and wombats. Officials fear that 30% of just one koala colony on the country's northeast coast, or between 4,500 and 8,400, have been lost in the recent fires. Tracy Burgess, a volunteer at Wildlife Information, Rescue and Education Services or WIRES, said that it is very concerning that rescuers were not receiving as many animal patients as they would expect.
We're not getting that many animals coming into care, so our concern is that they don't come into care because they're not there anymore, basically.
WIRES and other groups usually discourage people from feeding wild animals, but wildfires have prompted them to change that advice to encourage people to provide much-needed food and water. Large parts of Australia have suffered through several years of drought that has created tinder-dry conditions, leaving bushland ready to ignite. Russia said on Sunday that it had thwarted terrorism attacks purportedly planned in St. Petersburg thanks to a tip from Washington, bringing personal thanks again from President Vladimir Putin to his United States counterpart Donald Trump. Russian President Vladimir Putin thanked his US counterpart Donald Trump on Sunday for information that had helped to thwart a terrorism attack purportedly planned in St. Petersburg. Russian news agencies cited the Federal Security Service FSB as saying that thanks to the information, 2 Russians were detained on the 27th of December on suspicion of plotting attacks during the New Year festivities in St. Petersburg. No details on the plot were provided. 2 years ago, Putin had also phoned Trump to thank him for a tip that helped to prevent a bomb attack on a cathedral in St. Petersburg. Russia has repeatedly been the target of attacks by militant groups including the Islamic State. Trump and Putin also discussed the state of relations between the 2 countries, including agreements to continue bilateral cooperation to tackle terrorism. Diplomatic ties between Washington and Moscow are fraught over disagreements from Ukraine to Syria and allegations of Russian meddling in the US presidential election, but Trump and Putin have managed to keep personal lines open. Before we go, here are several other news highlights from today. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. For more stories, you can log on to KiniTV.com. Don't forget that you can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Dailymotion for the latest news updates. From all of us at KiniTV and Malaysiakini, we would like to wish you a happy new year and a blissful ushering in of a brand new decade. My name is Daniel Anthony, signing off for 2019 and for the decade. Thank you for watching.